Welcome everyone. Today I'm making some Marvel Crisis Protocol terrain. So my table at the moment is lacking size 2 terrain pieces, for a better word. So things like cars and dumpsters and things like that. I could add some more cars, make a really busy city, but a bit of variety. I want to make a statue. So I'm making a bit of a garden type park area. So I've got some nice benches, some bins, small bins like size 1s, a tree which is like a size 3, but I wanted to add a statue. Now a lot of people out there have used Marvel kids toys. I know Andrew, that's been on the channel, he's got a lovely Captain America statue. I thought that was quite large for my own personal use, but it's a cracking idea. So I was going through all my own miniatures, things like that, seeing what I could do to make a little statue of some kind. Just maybe a stone statue or a bronzy statue. And I found this. So this is Dr. Doom, when I thought I could paint, from Marvel Knight Miniatures. So I had loads of the models for that range. And I've always liked Dr. Doom. I'm really hoping that they will actually make a Dr. Doom for Marvel Crisis Protocol, and he's probably a bit small for that as well. Even though it's a fairly nice looking model, I'm sure when Atomic Mass bring out their own Dr. Doom, he'll be bigger and a lot more menacing. Not saying this isn't a great pose, just a little bit small for my liking. So I could paint him up like that. To make him look more like a statue, fine. I can make him a metal statue, like I said, or a stone statue. But he really needs some kind of plinth. So what can I use for a plinth? Shall I go out there and get a bit of wood, maybe, and get it machined on a lathe? I'm sure there's like feet off an old dresser or something that's being chucked out there that looks kind of nice, like a plinth, I guess. Or me being me, A-tight / resourceful, I have got a drinks bottle here, which you could probably guess what make it is, and I thought that neck is a good diameter, and that cap would be a nice plinth. And they're not two different sizes really, they would fit quite nicely together. So my plan is take the sticky label off, prime it, paint it maybe a nice stone, maybe a marble effect, and then paint a bronze statue on top. Pretty basic. If it works, it'll look kind of nice. And I didn't want it too big because I want it a size 2. And that for me is about right for size 2. Because remember, the dumpsters are about that wide, probably about that long. So it's not too dissimilar. Right, that's the plan. So I'll drop this thing in hot water, get rid of the label, spray it up, and show you how I do a quick and easy marble-like paint scheme. So now that my cap is washed off, I've dried it off, and I am priming it. So while the primer is drying, I'm going to spray this little guy up. So I've got some real nice, like coppery, kind of rusty looking bronzy colour. So this is what I'm using from Vallejo. It says rust, but it is more of a rusty browny colour. I'll start with this first. As per usual, airbrushing, getting all the little nooks and crannies first. Okay, so my cap is nicely dry. As I'm waiting for this guy to dry, it's still slightly tacky. And you can dull that model down a bit if you like, by putting a wash on it or something like that. But what I'm going to do when it's fully dry is make it a bit more like copper, which I'll show you how to make an oxide, or even paint an oxide. Is make it a bit more like copper. So I will be putting an oxide wash on it from Games Workshop, and I'll show you how to do that later on when that's fully dried. In the meantime, let's make this look a bit more like stone. So many of you have probably seen the wet wipe technique to make stone marbly kind of effect, and that's what I'm going to do. So good old-fashioned wet wipe. Make sure it's nice and dry, so maybe leave it on a radiator gently for a few days, or even use a hairdryer. That's right, even my big baldy head, I have a hairdryer. And you start to tease this guy. So you don't want to completely destroy it, just want to tease it. So I'll keep wriggling it, moving it about for a minute, until I get some holes, a bit like that. So weird and wonderful directions to get those patterns that you find in nature. The only issue is you've got to be a bit careful with it, because you're putting effort in it, putting effort in it, putting effort in, and it will make a hole. So it's better to mess around with it for a while and stretch about. Something like that. Than it is to put too much effort in. I describe it very much like opening Maltesers in a cinema. Involves a little bit of effort. You try to be as gentle as you can. Before you know it, the flipping Maltesers are down in aisle 3. So, just be a bit gentle with it. It's better to tease it a little bit every now and again and keep checking it. See what those holy holes are like. I'll come back when I'm satisfied. So you should have something a little bit like that. So, some kind of spider-like web over it. And I'm just going to blast it with my airbrush. Secret is to pull it fairly tight. What I'm going to do is hit it with this, then use like an off khaki colour as well. But with marbly stony effects, you can really put any colour in there. You could put like a nice turquoise in there, maybe like a deep aqua colour. Anything you want. Stone isn't always grey, remember. After it's dry, you can take it off, tease it a little bit more, move it to position, and once again, make sure it's nice and tight around the cap, and add a slightly different colour. Recommend a bit of turquoise or something. Like I said, I don't want to put too much turquoise into it because I am putting a oxidizing wash over the statue, so too much turquoise might get kind of lost. When it's nice and dry, hopefully it leaves a very good effect. So I'm doing this on camera so you know it's going to go wrong. So I'm going to peel this off. You might want to do it a couple of times. So like I said, you might want a few different passes over it, changing positions each time you lay the sheet over. The secret is just to make the sheet obviously nice and dry before using it, and pull it tight over the thing that you want to make look like marble. So I've just done it quickly, adding a few different colours. So just an off-white, a grey, and like maybe a khaki kind of colour. But you can add weird and wonderful colours to it, like I said. Maybe drop a green in it, or a nice turquoise. But considering I'm going to stick this guy on the top, and then use some of this stuff from Games Workshop to make the copper look a bit more aged. Adding a green or a turquoise stripe in there somewhere, or a nice little off blend, might kind of take it away. Plus, this is going to be on camera for battle reports for Marvel, and you know, you don't want to take it too much away from the miniatures. So I just want to give the impression of old aged copper on a marbly, stony kind of slab. So I think it works semi well. So I'll stick it to the base, and then we'll get with the oxiding. Okay, so for those who don't know, this is what the oxide looks like. So I'll turn down the brightness of my lamp just a little bit so you don't burn your retinas out. This stuff is quite bright, but it does calm down a bit once it dries. Now you can either make it into a wash and cover the whole of the copper piece, or you can start picking out some of the detail and letting it streak down a little bit. So just like that. Down there. And I'm being quite liberal with this stuff. Literally just finding bits where I can run down. See what it looks like when it dries. You can always add more, don't forget. So just letting it run down in a few places. And you've got to think where the water would lie to, and where the runs would be. So maybe a little bit there. It does calm down a little bit once it dries. And I might even throw a gentle wash over the whole thing when it's done. And I know it's quite a bright coppery colour. I could dull it down a little bit. But I do like the stark contrast between the very, very bright oxidization and the copper. Very rich colour. I could have had it quite dark, but I want it to be eye-catching on camera. And if I want to make a wash, just obviously add a bit of water to it. And like I said, when it dries, it does calm down quite a bit. You can always speed it up with a good old-fashioned hairdryer. One of my weapons of choice. Do like a good hairdryer. So there he is. That's the final piece. It's a quick and easy piece of terrain. I didn't spend hours and hours and hours on it. As you can see, you know, it's just a relatively light piece. You could put a coin or something underneath it to stop it from being knocked over so well. But it's a fairly wide base. I would say that's probably about a size 2 piece of terrain for Marvel Crisis Protocol. I mean, of course, you can use the same process if you want to make a statue piece for 40k. You could put an old school Marine on it, especially the classic Marine stance from the 2nd edition, holding the bolter. Maybe get a couple of them, put them either side of a citadel or a bridge or something. They would look pretty imposing, pretty nice to have as statues. But yeah, I do like Doom. I do like this model, and I really wanted him to be in Marvel Crisis Protocol, and I can't wait any longer. So I'm going to have him as a statue. Whether or not he comes to life and tries killing everybody, that's not my problem. That's not my fault. But yeah, just a quick and easy piece of terrain. Like I said, you can use any toy pretty much, from like a Captain Marvel, HeroClix figure, something really cheap like that. I just happen to have this one lying around. But yes, it's a quick video. It's a really quick process. You could even paint him up like stone as well. So you could do the exact same effect on the model as the base. And I like the big chunky juice lids, because they have little dome, little archway pieces like that. That's pretty cool. If you want to be a bit more creative, you can always have a little brass plaque or something to put on the lips there and say who it is. I have seen people use models of Stan Lee before and have a little plaque for Stan Lee. That's pretty cool. I might do that in the future. But yeah, just a quick and easy piece of terrain, roughly a size 2 for myself, for Marvel Crisis Protocol. Thank you for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this quick video.